and welcome to Scale Your Sales podcast. Author of iSell and founder of the Sales Consultancy. My next guest develops sales leaders and their teams to think and perform at a high level to meet and exceed multi-million targets. Welcome to Scale Your Sales podcast, Leigh Ashton.
Hello there. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
I've been thinking about you, and so I'm so happy I've managed to get you on the podcast. So it's only been going for about 6 months, but you were the first person on my list because you've always been so supportive of me. So I really wanted to get you on the podcast. So it's been a pleasure.
Exciting for both of us then.
Now, Leigh, I read your book, iSell, many years ago. And do you know what? I met you, but for some reason, I didn't make the connection. And do you remember when we were both speakers on a panel for International Women of Power 2015?
I do remember that.
Do you remember my, they didn't charge their computer, my presentation went off in the middle.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I remember that. Yeah, literally just went blank, and I just carried on. In fact, you don't remember it, but you're the first one who said, "Oh my God, Janice, you know, you did really well to carry." So from the very first, when I met you, you've always been so supportive. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's the only way to be, isn't it? Because the alternative's so miserable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but you know, people can find an excuse to be miserable, can't they?
Yeah, they absolutely can.
Now, I'd love you to tell me more about sales growth mindset, because this is really your sweet spot.
It really is. It really is, and has been forever. That's all I've ever done, and it's become more popular lately. But that's all, you know, because many years ago, as a sales leader, I realised that skills and capabilities were really only a very small part of what made people really successful, and it was really what goes on in here that actually was the main catalyst for sales success. So sales growth mindset is really a way of thinking that enables you to grow and develop as you learn more things and you have more experiences. And by the time we get to the workplace, even if you're new to the workplace or new to sales, you've had so many life experiences that actually many transferable skills. And it's about recognizing that just because you may not have done it in this arena, if you've done it in this arena, actually you can integrate it into new arenas and be far more ahead of the game than just thinking you've started from the beginning. And so that's the way I think about it.
That's quite new in recruitment, isn't it? You know, they talk about transferable skills, but really working hard with individuals to get them to recognize that, you know, if you've got the right mindset, it's got to be a growth open mindset, that you can actually leverage all of your experience in what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Now, not everybody has a growth mindset naturally, and it's quite easy to spot the people that do have it naturally, because they're the ones that fall down and get up again, and they fall down and get up again, and they keep trying different things all the time, because for them, it's not about, I can't do that. It's, I can't do that yet. So they keep trying all different angles to get in. So that's what someone who's naturally growth mindset will do. And they probably are the ones that account for the 10% top performers in every company, because that's their natural game. And it doesn't really matter how good the sales leadership is for them, because they're going to do it anyway, to be perfectly honest. But there are a lot of people who are fixed mindset, and there'll be some things that where every human being will be growth mindset in one context and maybe fixed in another. You know, like people, you often hear people saying, I can't draw, or I'm not creative, because somebody laughed at a picture they drew when they were a child, and that's left a lasting impression. But, you know, if you did a bit of drawing every day, you'd soon get better. So it's whilst it's a new concept, it's probably the oldest concept that's been around since man was on the earth, because it's what we do naturally.
So, because you know your whole book is around this, which is quite unusual to sales books even now, really. It's like a little section in the dark corner, but it seems to me it's everything. I certainly know, you know, when my brother passed, I certainly could not sell anything. I just didn't have the right mindset at all, and my emotional state. And that's on a big scale, but even little things as well. People can feel your energy. So it's amazing that this isn't more people haven't made the link. So how did you make the link so many years ago that this was so fundamental in the sales industry as it is?
Well, I think it's because I was a really successful salesperson. I think I'm obviously one of those growth mindset naturals. And it was very easy as a salesperson to be successful because I didn't have to rely on anyone. I just did what I did. And then I got promoted to sales manager. And honestly, Janice, I felt like a failure because I couldn't get. And some of my team would go, oh, that's amazing, Leigh, I'm going to go and try that, and off they would go and do it. Then the second group would go, Leigh, that's amazing, I'm going to go off and try that, and off they would go and carry on doing what they were doing before. And then the third group was, that won't work for me, my clients, or my territory. And I just thought, what am I missing? There's something I'm not getting here. And I remember sitting in front of my general manager, who used to be my sales manager before I got promoted, and she'd got promoted. And I said, is it me? Am I rubbish at this? And she went, no, you're not rubbish. You know, you were just so good at what you did as a salesperson. Now you have to find a way of teaching it to others. And so I consumed so many books on sales and leadership. And through my quest to try and figure it out, I realized that it was all about the way people think. And as soon as I focused on the human being instead of what behaviours we wanted them to do, as soon as I focused on what was going on in their head just before they were going to do a certain sales activity, that's when I noticed magic happening. And so I think that by some kind of divine intervention and growth mindset and all kinds of things that were happening in my life at that time, I stumbled across this, and then it so resonated with me. And because I'm one of life's kind people, when I noticed that it had a positive impact on other areas of their life, if you think really positively in this area, it's going to affect all the areas, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And people just got more confident in themselves generally, and just happier and more resilient, and would give things a go and step out of their comfort zone. And so it was like a magic bit of fairy dust. And I decided I wanted to go and spread that fairy dust everywhere, that's when I started my business in 1995, and that's all I've been doing ever since. And of course I come to it from a sales context, because fundamentally I'm a salesperson, and I just love the whole arena of sales. I love sales leadership. I don't think there's anything quite like it on the planet certainly for me, it's what I was meant to do. To be able to help people and get paid for it, it's just amazing.
But, a sales leader helps their team to do well. And if their team's doing well on an individual basis, they're also helping their customers to do well. So your fairy dust is going a long way.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a ripple effect. Yeah. And the good thing is that when sales teams work with me, once you've changed the way they think, you really don't need as much ongoing training, because they're thinking differently. All the sales leader needs to do is to maintain that, and just notice when they're not their best, and just you know, have a little dip in and say, like, how's it going? Because, you know, I can't tell you how many times I hear salespeople say, you know, that my sales manager might say, how are you doing? But actually, they don't really care about the answer.
Yeah.
You know, how are you doing? Yeah, great. How's your pipeline?
Yeah.
How are you going to get
to pipeline? It's a segue to get to the numbers question, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I would say that helping people then has a ripple effect outside of the what I've gone in to do. You know, it will impact on a person's life in so many ways, and often in organisations that I work with continually, people come to me and say, oh, I did this thing with my teenage son or daughter and it really worked a treat. And one of the things I say, you should never ask a why question in sales. And they said, oh my God, I've just had a light bulb moment. I keep saying to my teenage daughter, why do you keep doing that? And I realise now, you know, it's really confrontational and it's not really the best question to be asking her when she's struggling with life.
Yeah. It impacts everything in life. So what practical tip would you offer that has enabled buyers to buy, rather on the sales side, buyers to buy, or really built up a lasting relationship with customers? So what's the strategy, do you think?
I think you just always need to focus on the client's map of the world. So, you know, I was at a prospect meeting this morning and they said that the company who they were working with had been pushing them for a meeting. And they said, but we haven't got anything to tell you yet. You know, we're not at the point. And so in the end, they let them come and then they all sat around the table and said, there's nothing to discuss. Yeah. And the salesperson went as far as to say, we had real pressure from above to have this meeting. And I just think you have to go at your prospect or your customer's pace, because the minute it feels like pushing, they're going to back off. Yeah. And so for me, like, you know, this is the sales person, the sales organisation, this is the buyer. And it's about how do you join together. You know, it's like these people are bringing something to the table. These people are bringing an issue to the table they want to resolve. How can the sum of the parts be greater than the whole? How can working together actually make it better for everybody? Because in my experience, buyers don't call you in for a conversation wanting you to fail.
No.
They've called you in because they're thinking, is this organisation or is this person the person who is going to take this problem away, take this pain away, or stop us having the pain, resolve this issue, get us where we want to get to? So, you know, both sides actually do want the same thing, and it needs to be that win-win. And as long as you communicate with a buyer in a way that works for them, and people are different, you know, human beings are different. You can't communicate with another human being in the way that works for you. So you have to be a bit like a detective and find out through really good discovery questions what is going on for that person and what's important, not just in work, but how that would impact on them as a human being if you were able to take that issue away. And I remember when I first got into sales and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I'd say, what is it you actually want? And then the people would tell me what they wanted. And I'd go, well, that's really great because I'd really love to do that for you. So we both want the same things. And I used to say stuff that I didn't actually know what the genius of it was, because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I could chat.
Yeah.
So I was very good at asking questions, and I would just chat with people and I would just repeat what they'd said back to them. Not even, that was before the days I knew about matching and mirroring or anything like that, because it was my way of giving myself a few minutes to like collect my thoughts, to listen and think, okay, so based on that, what am I going to say next?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I want to just delve a bit deeper into your sweet spot, the mindset, but the sales leader.
Yeah.
Because I do hear a lot of sales people not appreciating the skills of the sales leader, not feeling they're leading very well. And you did mention about the leader that asks the personal question, but they're actually only, it's like a segue to the numbers question. Yeah. And in this country as well, we don't have a great reputation for great managers of people. There's a lack of training on that side. How would you deal with all that area if you had, someone in a team or a team of people that weren't managed very well, wasn't managed for them to be the best?
Okay, so for me, it always starts with the sales leader. And a great example of that was I was delivering a training for an organisation recently, and some of the sales leaders says, I wish I could get my salespeople to do X. They don't do that very well. And then another sales leader piped up and went, yeah, I have the same problem. And then I said around the table, well, how about the rest of you? Yeah. We can't get them to do it. How do we get them to do it? And I went, well, I'm really sorry, guys. If this is a global problem, you need to look in the mirror. Because if they're not doing it and lots of people are not doing it, what's the reason they're not doing it? Like, are you focusing their attention on it? Are you finding out why they're not doing it? What's the thinking behind that? So I would say that mostly sales leaders are successful sales people and rarely do. I mean, I'm not saying that organizations don't do any leadership, but the leadership in sales is always about numbers. It's always about delivering numbers. And I believe that salespeople are more like athletes than they are people who do a conventional job where maybe they're doing admin or they're writing a report, or because salespeople are at the hard edge. They're speaking with people who are different. They have to be in their best state of mind in order to be good at what they do, in the way that if an athlete isn't in their best state of mind, they won't win that race or they won't score that goal. And so what I believe is missing and not just this country, let me tell you, it's the same in most of the countries I've ever worked in. They all focus on the numbers. What you really need to give sales leaders training in is how to support a human being, how to make them the best that they can be. Give the sales leaders coaching skills so they know how to actually coach, because lots of sales leaders think they're coaching and they actually are not. They're all telling, have you done this? Have you done that? Or this is what I would do. And you don't have to train sales leaders in managing numbers because they're all salespeople. They know how to manage numbers. What they don't know is how to manage human beings.
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
Yeah, I get that. So, if you're on a desert island on your own, what's the one thing you would take with you, Leigh?
Oh my God. When you asked me to think about this question, the first thing that popped into my head was my Audible app, because I'm constantly listening to something. It's got to the point now where if it's not on Audible, I think, I really want to read that book. And then I would get the book and it's like stays at the side until I think, no, I've got to read it. And I was always an avid reader, but my Audible app, because I can listen again and again and again to a book. And I get something each time I listen to it that I missed the time before. Yeah. And I get the energy of the author. So, when I'm listening to two of my faves, Simon Sinek and Brené Brown, when I'm listening to them reading their own books, I get an energetic download almost of the way they feel about what they've written. And when I see quotes from either of those two, I can hear their voice saying the quote. And and the great thing with Audible app is that you could be, if I was on a desert island, I could be climbing up my trees to get my coconuts down and make a coconut drink, or like picking berries. I don't have to physically stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that would be.
It's yours.
Yes.
You've got it.
Which means I would have to have Wi-Fi.
Well, we won't bother with working that out.
Actually, yeah. Actually, I would say they are downloaded, so I wouldn't be able to get any new books without Wi-Fi, but I could still listen to the ones that I had, and I have many.
Again and again.
Yeah.
So how can all the listeners get hold of you?
Okay, the best way to get hold of me is on LinkedIn, because I post on LinkedIn every day, and I try and think of something inspirational to help people, maybe give them a new viewpoint or trigger thought or give them insights. So I'm on LinkedIn every day. You can always find me there. So, and also my website, which is sales-consultancy.com. So I would say they're the two areas. And I do a sales leadership blog. Every week I'll do a blog. I'll just get inspired by something, and then I'll write a very short, quick read blog. So that, I would say that would be the best place to look for Leigh Ashton.
Brilliant, lovely. You've been a wonderful guest. I'm going to have to get you on again because we've got loads to talk about. Thank you for being a guest on Scale Your Sales podcast, Leigh.
Oh, it was my absolute pleasure, and so lovely to connect with you again, Janice.
Take care.